All right, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2014 Chrysler 300 SRT. Up front is a 6.4 liter V8 and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here 300 SRT for a couple of reasons. First of all, these are really rare. The 2014 is the last model year for the SRT here in the States, and they only made just under 500 of them, actually 496. The other reason is the fact that it's a V8 luxury sedan, which I love, and I think this might be one of the best looking V8 luxury sedans from this era. The 2014 gets the blacked out taillights at the back as well as some black molding on the side, and it sits an inch lower than the 2012s and 2013s, and I think it just has this really menacing presence, which I love. But before we get on with the rest of the video, if you are looking to help out the channel, there are some awesome links from our sponsors in the description below. There's an OBD2 Bluetooth sensor that will pair to your smartphone. There are con plates, which is a suction cup license plate mount for the front of your vehicle. And there's Cash for Cars if you're looking to sell your vehicle. Thank you to our sponsors, but let's get on with the video. So let's get back to that 6.4 liter V8 under the hood. It makes about 470-ish horsepower from the factory. However, this particular 300 has had the engine replaced. This is actually a 2016 Challenger engine from a manual transmission Challenger. And that's important because the automatics have cylinder deactivation, which has been known to fail across pretty much all of Chrysler's and Mopar's lineup. It's not good, it's not pretty. So if you actually swap it to a manual transmission engine, or an engine that was paired to a manual transmission, they never put cylinder deactivation with the manuals because they never know when you're going to shift. And so just to save the engine, they didn't have that feature. And it's actually the more reliable, better engine is the non-cylinder deactivation. So that's what's in this car. This car also has a custom exhaust. Basically, it's custom because of that engine swap, and it sounds really, really good. All right. Let's hope we keep it out of the ditch. Nope. There we go. That is sketchy on a day like this. I think I forgot to breathe. Oh man. Yeah, we're done with that. We are done with that. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed automatic transmission, which the gears are actually pretty tall, especially around town. You don't really notice that it's only a 5-speed. On paper, I was like, you know, I would really want a 6-speed or 7, or I know Chrysler was starting to do 8 speeds at this time, which aren't super strong, but would be nice for highway pulls. But actually the 5-speed seems to be keeping up really well. I really don't mind the 5-speed. Like I said, it's a little dated at this point, but it is, you know, coming up on 8 years old. It's fine. Last but not least, the 300 SRT is rear-wheel drive as God intended. So let's talk about the interior because we're driving a Chrysler, and that's the important bit. Well, in front of me, I have 2 physical gauges that are lit up in this really nice, cool blue. It has this really nice feel to it. I like that it's not red because it's not super aggressive. The Durango has super aggressive gauges for no real reason. What's actually funny is that this car kind of would deserve aggressive gauges, but it doesn't have them. It's nice, cool, and relaxed. On the left, I do have my tachometer and coolant temperature. Really love the fact that it says SRT8 in the gauge. I think that's a really nice piece. And on the right, I have my speedometer and fuel. And I do get a little screen in the center, which actually has a bunch of different colors. That's kind of my sort of barometer for screens in gauge clusters, is how many colors do they have. And the 300 SRT actually has a lot of colors, which is really, really nice. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my phone options, volume, skip track, things like that. And on the right, I do have cruise control. I do have radar cruise, which is a very, very nice feature for 2014. We really only saw it in luxury cars back in that era. And of course, this being a nice luxury car, it gets that. On the back of the steering wheel, I do have paddle shifters, which is a nice feature. And the overall steering wheel feels really nice. It has leather at some points, but this sort of harder material at others, and it feels a lot sportier than your run-of-the-mill 300 steering wheel. Off to the left, I just have my headlight switches, and on the door, I do have memory seats, which is really nice, power windows, power locks, and my power mirrors. Moving into the center, I do have an analog clock, which I love. Chrysler was really good about this in the late 2000s and early 2010s. I think it just adds so much to the interior. You don't see a base model Corolla with an analog clock. They're normally reserved for cars that are nicer, and of course the 300 SRT is a lot nicer. Then I do get a screen. Now this is a pretty typical screen from Dodge. They put this in a lot of other vehicles, but I like the fact that they actually went through the hassle of putting a very high resolution image of the 300 on the screen. I think that that is huge when it comes to an auto manufacturer actually doing that. It shows me that at least Dodge programmed it, Mopar, whatever you want to call it, programmed it to be for the 300. It's not a picture of a base model either. It's the SRT, and I really like that. You can even see the little red brakes. Other than that, the responsiveness is pretty good, on par with the Era, I would say. And I do have sport mode that I can adjust inside the screen. So I have sport, track, and regular mode, which actually will adjust the dampers. So it has 3 different settings, where the 2012 and 2013 300 SRT only had 2 different settings. So I do have my heated and cooled seat options within the screen as well. I wish that I had a physical button. However, not all of the climate controls are in the screen, which I really like. So if anything were to happen to the screen, I'm not sort of up a creek without a paddle. Speaking of climate controls, I do have the climate controls down below. They are nice and tactile, and these have actually held up really well, especially for 177,000 miles. You normally don't see that kind of quality in Dodge products, but the 300C was built a little differently, which I really like. Then I do have a little cubby, and I have the shifter and a little cubby as well on the center console. Now, the carbon fiber is peeling up a little bit. That is sort of that Mopar quality. However, that's the only major part inside this car that I really find feels a little cheap. Other than that, like I said, with the climate controls, everything has held up really, really well. Now, of course, part of that is the owner maintenance and keeping up with it, keeping it clean, and not having fake nails, hitting all the buttons and scratching them up. But I think that also goes to show that Chrysler spent a little bit more time on this than their Dodge counterparts. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 300 SRT. And while the big friggin' bottle does not fit, I do have heated and cooled cup holders, which is a very rare feature found on cars. I can't really think of another one that has it. So while it fails the big friggin' bottle test, it passes for having such cool cup holders. I do have a center console armrest, pretty comfortable, but what's really comfortable is the seats. As soon as I got into the 300 SRT, I sank right in and I felt right at home. This is a very, very comfortable car. I would say in the upper 10% of cars that I've reviewed, this has to be one of the most comfortable. The seats are heated, they are ventilated, they are power, they are memory. Pretty much anything you would want out of a luxury seat, minus a massage feature, which I don't think Chrysler has ever done. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 300 SRT, and a couple things to note back here. First of all, I do have heated seats, 2 different levels for the rear seats, which is awesome, and a 12-volt outlet that runs off the battery. So if the car is off, you could still use it to charge or things like that. Back seats are comfortable. Headroom is a little bit tighter than I would have wanted. I am 5'11", sitting up, and I'm not a small boy. So headroom isn't fantastic, but other than that, it's very, very comfortable back here. The seat material is the same as the front, very comfortable. I do get a center console here, 2 little light up cup holders, which is great, and a little storage area as well, if that's something that you'd want. Very, very luxurious back here. Now we have to talk about the looks because it might be my favorite part. I absolutely love the look of the 300 SRT. Now, these are not the factory wheels. They are from a Hellcat Charger. However, I think overall, even with the stock wheels, I love the look of the 300 SRT. I think it's mean and yet still very reserved. I don't think it's very flashy. It's not really in your face, which is interesting. A lot of people who own these cars will put giant wings on them and big front chin splitters like the incredible chin from Fairly Odd Parents. But I think I like the stock body the best. It's very subtle. It's not in your face. But when you put your foot into it, it is in your face. And I love that aspect of it. And so now we're getting to my final thoughts here on the 300 SRT. First of all, I do want to give a shout out to the license plate That is a reference to Breaking Bad. This car was featured in Breaking Bad. Now, of course, it was a Dodge sort of sponsorship of the show, but I think they really hit the nail on the head for the car. It's a very reserved, gangster-looking car, which is what the main character was at the time. Now, they gave his son a muscle car, which is debatable at best, but that could have been cast better. But I think this for Heisenberg was one of the perfect car castings to come out of a sponsorship. But I really enjoy this car. I think it's one of the last really truly good American muscle sedans that's also luxurious. Yes, I feel like the true last one was the Chevy SS in 2017, but that car wasn't really that comfortable. I couldn't sink into it after a long day at work and feel completely at ease. This car, I would. I can drive this car like a grandma, and it would still be comfortable, enjoyable, pleasurable, where the SS, I mean, you still have that V8, and you know, it's just, it doesn't have quite the comforts that the 300 has. Another really nice feature of the 300 SRT is the panoramic sunroof. Again, something that I haven't really seen in other muscle sedans. That really speaks to the creature comforts of this car. I drove a 2011 Chrysler 300C with the 3.6 liter, and it was miserable. I hated that car. It was so depressing. It was really to get you to and from bingo and maybe Jewel Osco every once in a while. But this car is something completely different. I don't even believe that they're in the same family or made by the same people. This is a fantastic car, and the rarity is just another cool feature as well. And something interesting with that is the fact that this was originally sold for $60,000, which still at the time was kind of a bargain compared to its German counterparts, but now can be found for 20, 25, somewhere in that area for all that you get. That 6.4 V8, fantastic. These creature comforts, fantastic. The looks, fantastic. I really think that this is a complete package, especially for that price. If you can, please, I beg you to get out and drive one. Although, like I said, finding them, it's pretty hard to find one. So if you can, I would highly recommend it. Huge thank you to Tim for letting me take out the 300 SRT. I've been waiting to do this review for quite some time. That rolling footage you just saw was actually from right at the beginning of COVID, where we wouldn't even share a car. We didn't know really what was happening. I'm glad I've finally been able to use that footage, and I'm glad I've been able to drive the SRT. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.